Borrowing a leaf from the huge successes recorded in the rice, cotton, cassava and tomato value chains under the Anchor Borrowers Program, ABP, the CBN met with some milk importers, during which the governor wooed them to take advantage of CBN's low-interest loans to begin local milk production instead of relying endlessly on milk imports. The bank's partnership with states and private investors is beginning to yield fruits. For instance, in Niger State, the government of the day has allocated land to 4 dairy companies at the 31,000-hectare Bobi Grazing Reserve, situated in Mariga local government area. Bobi Reserve is inhabited by over 700 pastoralist families who own about 300,000 heads of cattle. Of the over 30,000 hectares of land, 10,000 hectares was allocated to Friesland Campina Wamco, while 4,000 hectares each was allocated to Chi Limited, Neon Agro, and Irish Dairy. Work by the companies is at various degrees of completion. Similarly, Arla Group in Kaduna State, Promasidor in Ekiti State, and Integrated Dairies Limited in Plateau are in partnership with the respective state governments to upgrade or develop the Damau Grazing Reserve Kaduna, the Ikun Dairy Farm Ekiti, and the Wase Grazing Reserve Jos. These revolutionary moves to intervene in the livestock dairy value chain will not only improve cattle management in the country, but will also close the supply gap of 1.2 million metric tons of milk. Specifically, it is expected that milk production will increase from 500,000 metric tons to 550,000 metric tons by January 2021.
We are saying that how much we spend importing milk is too high. We need to reduce it. We are saying that by doing backward integration, it helps to limit or reduce the rate of herders and farmers conflict in Nigeria. And we are determined to make milk production in Nigeria a viable economic proposition.
The discovery of crude oil in Nigeria led to the neglect of the farms, leading to a major decline in the production of cocoa from an average of 420,000 tons in the 1960s to about 170,000 tons in 1999. To help mitigate the challenges in the industry, the CBN has extended a total facility of 17.32 billion naira to projects in the value chain through its various interventions. The focus of the bank's intervention in 2019 was to primarily engage key stakeholders and develop a roadmap for the resuscitation of the industry. The roadmap for stimulating finance to the cocoa industry and ensuring a structural transformation of the value chain is underway, and the bank's strategy for 2020 is to collaborate with the farmers and promote the use of technology to enhance the farmers' productivity. The value chains of other commodities such as maize, poultry, fish, and aquaculture also witnessed some degree of intervention by the CBN. As part of its strategy for the poultry sector, the bank in July 2019 played host to select universities in the country to partner with them in a pilot scheme tagged University-Based Poultry Revival Program, aimed at boosting poultry production in the country through the involvement of universities. Bemoaning the estimated 1.2 million metric tons of poultry meat being smuggled into the country from neighboring countries by unpatriotic persons, the governor said the project, beyond closing the existing demand and supply gap, will raise a new crop of agropreneurs in modern poultry production. While the bank is in partnership arrangement with 12 universities across the 6 geopolitical zones of the country, 5 have been selected for the pilot phase of the project.
Those universities have already started the pilot phase. University of Ilorin, University of Science and Technology in Port Harcourt, University of Nigeria in Nsukka, ABU in Zaria, and of course the University of Agriculture in Abeokuta. So we'll be working with them to see how we can develop this value chain. The plan and the vision of the governor is to eliminate the importation of all poultry products. by the end of 2023.
Although Nigeria remains the largest producer of maize in sub-Saharan Africa, churning out about 11 million metric tons per annum, the country still has a deficit of about 4.5 million metric tons, which are addressed through importation. Determined to address the demand gap through an increase in maize production, the CBN leveraged its existing relationship with the Maize Association of Nigeria, MAAN, by extending financing to smallholder farmers, in addition to engaging large-scale maize processors with outgrowers scheme such as flour mills, Olam, Wakot, and other feed mills across the country. To fast-track self-sufficiency, the bank introduced the Maize Aggregation Scheme, MAS. This move is to enable silo concessionaires and feed millers to purchase and preserve locally produced maize from farmers. With the 8.72 billion naira approved for the finance of 53,644 farmers under the affiliation of the Maize Association of Nigeria, MAAN, in 2019, it is expected that the cultivated 62,910 hectares across 30 states of the country will yield 188,730 metric tons. The CBN also sought the collaboration of 12 river basin development authorities on the use of irrigable land in their respective areas of operation during the dry farming season. To build on the foundation laid in 2019, the bank in 2020 plans to support about 150,000 farmers to cultivate over 400,000 hectares of land with an expected yield of 4 tons per hectare in order to meet the projected production of 1.6 million metric tons by the end of 2020.
Maize is a crop that can be produced 3 times a year, and working with the river basin authorities would try and unlock that land and fulfill the vision of the governor, which is to breach that 4.5 million and indeed produce in excess so that we can start looking at the export market. So we're working with the river basin authorities, and in 2020 we'll try as much as possible to unlock that potential. We're looking at bringing at least 200,000 additional farmers into the maize value chain.
Before now, Nigeria, in spite of its abundant water resources, had a deficit of 1.9 million metric tons of fish. This deficit resulted in a humongous import bill of $1.2 billion. To address this, the CBN had to extend a facility to the fish value chain amounting to 21 billion naira. These funds were disbursed to 40 companies and 2,950 farmers. Thanks to the interventions, the sector now has an annual increment of 200 metric tons, mainly from aquaculture. It is expected that the objectives of boosting fish production by 600,000 metric tons in 3 years, improving local production of fish, and reducing import bills will be met.
Another aspect of our 5-year plan when it comes to promoting local production of goods for export is based on our slogan, PAVE, P-A-V-E, which means produce, add value, and export. And in this process, we want to also provide access to finance for Nigerians who are local producers of exportables. And so the aim is to enable them produce the best kind of products, and so to package them. So we also need to finance the packaging. When they package them, they export and then return foreign exchange.
It is worthy of mention that under the leadership of Godwin Emefiele, the Central Bank of Nigeria has also consolidated its support to the agricultural sector through other intervention initiatives such as the Commercial Agricultural Credit Scheme, CAS, Paddy Aggregation Scheme, PAS, Real Sector Support Facility, and the Agribusiness Small and Medium Enterprises Investment Scheme, AGSMIS. From its inception, CAS has financed 596 commercial agricultural products across the country to the tune of 611.492 billion naira. For the pass, a total of 20 companies received finance of 92.32 billion naira for the purchase of 820,000 metric tons of rice paddy in 2 years. This move helped to crash the price of parboiled rice in the country. As at November 2019, the Differentiated Cash Reserve Facility had disbursed a total of 241.13 billion naira to 75 projects, which in turn had created about 75,000 and 375,000 direct and indirect jobs, respectively. It is also on record that the move has helped to save the nation about $500 million. Under the Agribusiness Small and Medium Enterprises Investment Scheme, which was introduced in collaboration with the Bankers Committee, commercial and merchant banks set aside 5% of their profit after tax annually. By the end of 2019, a total of 6.21 billion naira had been expended to finance 2,478 business projects in agriculture and other small businesses. 2019 was indeed a busy year for the CBN, the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Natural Resources, the River Basin Development Authorities, and other stakeholders in the agricultural sector, with the concerted effort at building on all the gains recorded in navigating the country's economy away from heavy dependence on the oil and gas sector. Though some challenges remain, the Central Bank of Nigeria, working with fiscal authorities and other players in the country's financial sector, hopes that 2020 will witness huge successes in the agricultural sector. Ultimately, it is hoped that 2020 will be the year when millions of Nigerians will key into the collective national goal espoused by President Muhammadu Buhari, that we produce what we eat and eat what we produce.